and I have this opportunity to work with very innovative startups here in France, working on generative AI, working on AI in general, and on SAP. Today we will start by talking about the use cases, because when I discuss with my customer, with the CXOs, with the team of engineering and the product teams, what they tell me is that they have some ideas about how to implement generative AI in their products, but they also want to know how other companies, other customers do it on AWS. And the objective of this session is to give you this inspiration of what is possible. So let's start by talking about what is generative AI. So generative AI is all about generating new type of assets, content, and data. So it can be anything we think about, like images, text, videos, 3D, and 3D objects. But it can also extend to other industries and other sectors, and we will see that. So generative AI is usually based on things we call foundational models. And if you think about it, when we learn from books. And these models are trained on a gigantic amount of data, so they read and learn from book in a continuous way. And these foundation models, once they are trained, they can perform and mimic human capabilities. So all these images that we see here were generated by GenAI, text-to-image models. And you can see that some of the renders are very impressive. So they are used for generating new content, but also to upscale existing content. So maybe for use cases to improve the resolution of what you have created, GenAI can help you on that. But it's not limited to text and images. It is all over the industries, and we see many use cases related to life science, healthcare, fintech, conversational AI, and one big achievement was done by ChatGPT, for example, and it gave us this possibility to democratize, and it allowed everyone to discover the power of generative AI that has been invented several years back. And now we will see some use cases across different industries. And then we will try to abstract that, take the use cases, and see what kind of class of problems, the new class of problems that we can solve using these models. So for healthcare, we talked about a little bit how research can be done on generative AI. But what you also need to know is that it allows innovation and it accelerates the rhythm of innovation, because we do not need to get and collect the data. We can also synthesize data. So for research, it enables them to accelerate the rhythm of innovation, to find vaccinations, to create new proteins, and also to discover how life on Earth works. On other sectors like financial services, we all dreamed about this financial advisor who gave us always the right recommendations to invest based on our preferences, our conception of the world. And using generative AI, we are moving towards that. Instead of having a very wide customization, now fintech companies can do a very targeted customization for each one of us. And we already see some of our customers using the power of foundation models to do this kind of customizations. The third area where we see a lot of innovation is media and entertainment. Of course, advertisement, we have seen personalization all around the way. But now personalization is going to another level using generative AI, because for each user, we can generate the type of content that they are interested about. Also for gaming, you can think about the next generation of games as an endless story that you co-build with the studio. So the studio will create the base of the game, but the way you interact with the game will create a different path based on your interactions. So possibilities are endless. For automotive, we have been hearing about autonomous cars for years now, and a lot of achievements have been there for years. But now with generative AI, it will continue to accelerate. Why? Because we will be able to simulate real live environments using synthetic component. And this will accelerate the achievement of an autonomous car, but also for car designers who create the parts that compose the car. They will be able to create different models, simulate them, and using this power to accelerate the rhythm of innovation. If we move to education, I have been a student lecturer, and through the years, what we see is that education is an old system, and innovation is coming to here. Why? Because we will be interacting with education with the way we think about things, with the way we memorize things in a different way. We all dreamed about having like things of like the cards that memorize everything, that summarize everything for us, and now we are in an era where this is possible. So instead of reading 300 pages book, you can tell a generative AI model, tell me what are the 10 main points, the main takeaways of this book. And that gives you this possibility to be able to gain knowledge in a very rapid way. So if we abstract a little bit and we forget about industries now, and we try to see what kind of use cases we have discovered so far. So the first one, it's generation of content. Text generation, code generation, which is just a special case of text generation. We have image generation, audio generation, and video generation. These are like content generation. But also we have the ability to interact with the existing objects. For example, we can do Q&A to be able to ask questions to a model to be able to find the right answer along a huge knowledge base of your specific company or knowledge database. Automation, education, and also about search, but search can be done in different ways. For example, right now, the types of search we have are on structured data, semi-structured data, but on unstructured data like text we have on PDFs or on Wikipedia to do not only syntactic search like word by word, but to do also semantic search, like to find the same meaning in the text. Generative AI becomes a very handy tool to do that. Let's talk a little bit about why AWS, because we have seen the use case, seen the possibility, but let's talk a little bit about why AWS is a good platform for you to build. First of all, it's all about security, flexibility, ease of use, and also the possibility to choose. Ease of use, because with only 4 clicks, you can deploy your generative AI model on AWS. And you can choose from open source models, but also closed source models. You have the security that was built for government institutions, for big companies that you can get out of the box using AWS. You have the flexibility, because our philosophy at AWS is that there isn't only one model to solve all the problems, but we give you the choice to choose the right tool for the right use case. And of course, it's also about price performance, because some of the challenges of generative AI right now is how to reduce cost, but also to get excellent performance. So let's take a step back and try to understand how generative AI relate to other areas like AI in general, ML, and deep learning. We think about AI as all the actions that mimic human capabilities. And we can develop that in many different ways. One of the ways is to tell the machine what to do. It's coding, classic coding. But other ways are machine learning. So you give the machine a lot of data, and it tries to predict patterns inside the data. Once it predicts patterns, it can generalize to be able to predict on data it has never seen. Then we go a little bit deeper, and we understand what is deep learning. Deep learning, it's another step of pattern recognition. We do not rely only on high-level detection of patterns, but we go deep. We try to find the fine patterns inside the data. So usually we use neural network for that, and to solve a class of problems that are complex, like speech recognition or computer vision. And generative AI is part of deep learning because we use neural network for that, but we use it not to detect patterns, but to generate a new type of data using the patterns that we have detected during training. So let's move now to what AWS offers for AI and ML. I can imagine that the slide is, we cannot read everything in the slides, but I want you to focus only on the three big categories here. So first of all, what you can see is that all over AI ML stack, you can find the right service that can help you accelerate your innovation. Things specific to generative AI, we have announced a service called Amazon Bedrock that allows you to use AWS built-in models, but also third-party models through APIs. We have also Amazon Jumpstart that allows you to deploy different type of models on top of AWS, both open source, but also closed source models. And of course, we have the AWS infrastructure that helps people build new models every day. So let's do a little bit of dive deep on these 5 services: Code Whisperer, Bedrock, SageMaker, Trainium, and Inferentia. Code Whisperer, as the name indicates, it's a service that allows you to generate code. So if you are a developer, DevOps, a lead engineer, it can help you accelerate your productivity and improve your work using real-time suggestion of code. Of course, it integrates security by design. So it helps you avoid some patterns that are not very secure. The other service is Amazon Bedrock, which is using APIs to use different kind of models. And as you can see, some models are more performant than other for specific kind of tasks. So if you are hesitating between different models, do not hesitate to talk to your AWS sales representative or solution architect, and we can guide you to choose the right model that solves your problem. And Amazon Jumpstart is another way of consuming generative AI on top of AWS. But now we are not talking about APIs, but we are talking about deploying any type of model on top of instances. So here you have a managed infrastructure that allows you to deploy any type of model. Models can be from Stability AI, Hugging Face, Alexa, but also they can be from Lighten. So do not hesitate, by the way, they are awesome, so to discuss with them after the session. We have also partners like Cohere, A21 Labs, who offer their models on top of AWS. And finally, I have seen one of the main challenges is price and performance. And to democratize Gen AI, AWS is working hard to innovate in the silicon level, the lowest level, to be able to create dedicated infrastructure that can both improve performance and lower costs. Because as you can imagine, these foundation models are huge models that we need to put inside a dedicated machines, and NVIDIA keep innovating, but on our side, on AWS, we also innovate to offer you the next generation of infrastructure that allows you to deploy. That was all for me. If you are interested in talking about the deep elements of GenAI, how they work, how ins and outs, do not hesitate. I will be here all the day, and hope you enjoyed it. Do not feel free also to use this QR code to give me your feedback so that I can either improve the content or keep knowing what you are looking for so that next time I suggest the right session for you. Thank you all.